Live from our studios here at Kukumlimle, this is Joy News Prime. In the next 60 minutes, Transport Minister reviews defunct Ghana Airlines will be back in the air after being on the ground for 19 years.
Ghana Airways, at the end of April or May, they will start selling their tickets. And by June, July, you will see a national airline, Ghana Airlines, flying in the sky.
Also, mental health advocates laud Parliament for approving amendment of the Criminal Offences Act of 1960, which now decriminalizes suicide.
We've been waiting for this for a very long time because we understand that not everybody who attempts suicide wanted to do it. It's amazing news. We are really, really happy, those of us in the mental health community.
Also in this edition, 50% of trees planted in the Shai Forest Reserve as part of the Green Ghana project have all died.
The survival rate, per our own assessment, we've had about 50% survival rate.
Welcome back. Many thanks for staying with us. Well, after being on the ground for 19 years, Transport Minister is announcing that Ghana's defunct airline will be back in the air. It's Ghana Airlines. This is after we're told that the national carrier, following the decision to award Ashanti Airlines and its operational and financial partner, Zotus Group, a tender to commence business. He's been announcing it at a media press briefing today at the Information Ministry.
Ghana Airways, it will fly again. I think government took a decision to join the private sector to make sure that we have a national carrier. I can tell you that, you see, in some of these matters, it is not an event, it's a process that we need to go through. And I think that I have realized that in this country, anytime that one's come out to say that our government is doing it, they want to see it tomorrow. Yes, I want to, I think the enthusiasm is there, but it is not possible. You need to go through the processes. Even procurement alone, even going through the system, you need to, if you jump one, you cannot. It's going to be a problem. But so far, I can tell you that the proponent have done so well. Madam Chief Director was just whispering into my ears that they've gone through all the processes because they needed to go through the processes. GCL and GCA, the regulator had to make sure that it is well grounded. And Mr. Charles Kweku told me the other day that they certified all the requirements. They are going to launch their logo. My information from them is that by the end of April or May, they will start selling their tickets. And by June, July, you will see a national airline, Ghana Airlines, flying in the sky. Inshallah, it shall be well.
Well, let's bring in the chairman of the Transport Committee of Parliament, Honorable Kennedy Nyako. We are grateful for your time here on Joy News Prime. So this is good news, already attracting a lot of talk on social media. But let me find out, since you head that Transport Committee in Parliament, what more do we know about Ghana Airways or Ghana Airline flying?
Well, thank you very much, and a very good evening to your cherished viewers. Well, you know, government since 2019 have been trying to find a way to resurrect the Ghana International Airline. So government has been receiving several proposals. But finally, government settled on a local company, that is Ashanti Airline, which have been selected so far to as the airline to carry the national flag again. So that is what is happening now, and I know they've gone through all the process that they need to go through. They've attained all the certification, and if nothing happens and all things being equal, by June, July, we should see an international airline which will start with a domestic, and then gradually we go to the sub-region, then finally we will start flying to the international market. So that is what is happening now. But I think it's a good news for the country because for almost 13 years after the collapse of the Ghana International Airline, all successive governments have tried to resurrect it or trying to bring back the national carrier. All have put for trial, but under President Akufo-Addo, finally we are going to have one which is going to be managed by a private investor, a private company which owns 90% shares of the company. Government will only have 10% equity stake or shares in the business, because if you look at the share structure of Ghana International Airlines 17 years ago, the government was holding almost about 70% of the shares. And if you know when government holds it's running or is the majority shareholder, you know how things are run in this country. It didn't help the country at all, and virtually the company collapsed. This time around, I think we have redefined it, and we want government involvement and interferences in the management of the airlines to be minimized.
Okay.
If not even taken up completely, to be minimized. That is why government stake in the running of the new airline will be about 10%, and that's all. What it means is that the company or the new airline will be run by a private individual or a private company or investor without any interference from the government. So that is a good news for the country.
Well,
and I hope
that's a point you've made very clearly, Mr. Nyakwose, if you can hear me. So
yes.
This company that we're talking about, Ashanti Airlines, what really is the track record of this company in that sector? The concern, however, also is the fact that this 10% that we talk about, then how national is this airline? It's just a private business, isn't it?
Well, government, once government has a share in it, it means they can carry the name, the national airline name on it. Government has a stake in it. That's the government equity contribution. So once government has a stake in it, definitely they can carry it is the stake that they are carrying that is giving government that kind of 10% equity in the business. Government is not putting any money in it. Government is not putting any money in the business. Government believes that once it is carrying using the name Ghana Airline, its contribution in the business, and that has given government that 10% shareholding in the business, and that is the best way you can that's the best way or the approach you can go about it, because it's not as if we have not had national carriers before. We had the first one, Ghana, it collapsed. We came out. After that, we came with the Ghana International Airline.
And that also collapsed.
Why did it collapse? Because government was virtually, was the biggest, the highest shareholder. And you know how things are done in this country when government is the shareholder of a business. You know how things are done. So it didn't help the country. So now it's a private company that is going to put its money in it, 100% money in the business, and give government 10%. Then we should be happy about it.
Well, but finally, before I let you off, I'm sure that this issue about, we've had it twice, and it all went defunct at some point. I'm guessing that your committee, the Transport Committee in Parliament, has done a lot of work, making sure that we do not go back to square one after this airline hopefully takes off in July.
This airline will come and stay like other airlines, like British Airways and the other ones that are flying Emirates, and we pray that this airline will come and stay for good. And I like the approach that they are taking. They don't want to launch everything omnibus together. They want to do it on gradual and incremental basis. So they will start with the domestic, fly and see how the patronage will build on the brand. I heard you saying that they don't have any track of. Yes, they might not. It's a new company. The name might sound a new company to you. Ashanti Airline, you've not heard it before. It was registered just recently. But they are using experts in the industry. I had the opportunity to sit in a meeting where the one that they have recruited to manage the entire airline is somebody that has 35 years experience in the industry. One of the best in the world that you can get. That is the person that they have recruited so far to manage. So as for getting the experts in the industry to run or fly the airline for you, it's not a problem. So the name, I don't think, they might not have an old name in the system that somebody can say, this airline have been around. But it is going to be run and managed by expertise, people who have been in the industry for 30 years and 35 years above. And that is where we have to focus and put our attention, because these are seasoned people who have know the nooks and crannies of the industry, and they will with the little help and prayer, I'm sure they will be able to do a good job and they will carry the national flag, and all of us will be happy.
Thank you so much. That's Kennedy Nyakonse, is the chairman for the Roads and Transport Committee in Parliament. Let me bring in an aviation analyst, expert in that sector, Dr. Emefa Apawu. We're grateful for your time here on Joy News Prime. Well, two key issues come up for me. Issue about feasibility of, starting this airline in July, and then also the issue about safety, considering that this company, we are told, Ashanti Airlines, may not have the track record that many travelers will be looking out for. What do you think? Hello, Dr. Apawu.
I think I lost connection. I'm currently outside Accra, so my network is not.
We appreciate your time. Yeah. So I was asking about the issue about safety and then also feasibility. You are an expert in that area. We're told that by July, all things being equal, we should start, or we should get this national airline, that's Ghana Airline. But looking at the track record of this company, also Ashanti Airlines, appears they have no track record in that area, at least with the national carrier. Should we be worried? Okay. It appears that internet is not our friend. He mentioned that he's in an area that there's no connection. So we've been hearing from the transport minister mentioning that by July, Ghana Airlines will be airborne. We know that we've tried it the first time, Ghana Airways, it went defunct. And then we had another one during the era of President Kufuor. Now we are told that by July, July, everything will be set for the national airline, Ghana's national airline, to take off. We've been interacting with the chairman of the Roads and Transport Committee of Parliament. Dr. Apawu, glad to have you back. So I was asking for your take on issues about feasibility and safety.
Yeah, thank you for having me. And like you rightly mentioned, our issue is in the aviation community is the track record of the two companies. The Zotos Group, which is based in the UK, and then Ashanti Airline, and then the group in Ghana meant to form Ashanti Airlines. Now, I wonder what criteria or metrics government use to select these two companies. If I go to the UK or in the US and I say, oh, I want to go to space, what they will ask me first is, have you been to space before? If I go there and I say, well, I want to take someone to space, they'll ask me, oh, have you been to space before? That would be the first criteria that or question they will ask. So these two companies, Zotos, the company in the UK was formed in 2021. They have no track record in aviation whatsoever. And then the company in Ghana also has no track record. I heard your previous speaker mentioned that they've hired the best in the industry and blah, blah, blah. No, aviation is not that way. Aviation today is not like in the 50s or 60s in the era of the Ghana Airways time. Now the profit margins are very, very small. And you need to balance that with safety. And to make things safe, you need to spend so much. And because of that, your margins are going to be very, very small. So it doesn't matter bringing the best people in the industry to manage the airline. We think that the company that government selected, their track record in the aviation industry is basically non-existent. And I'm very doubtful that by July, this airline is going to fly.
Well, thankfully, you've addressed the issue about feasibility as well. So I'm sure that we still have time to correct our wrongs. Is that possible?
Yeah, that's possible. I think government, they need to do more feasibility studies. The routes out of Accra are not so profitable. Lufthansa, there are several airlines that came into the market and then they had to leave. So government can really look at it. And then I think the best way to go about this is to select a company that is already in the industry. Africa World has already done so much, both domestic and regional flights. They could have had like a joint venture and then start this airline, or even Askai or Egypt Air, and then some other, I think Ethiopian Air, were part of the companies that tendered for this contract, and all of them were not selected. So I think government still need to have a look at it. The aviation industry is not like just setting up a VIP transport company, So we need to rethink, and I hope government is not putting any money into this venture.
That's what we are told, that government is not putting any money. But this is an issue we'll get to interrogate further subsequently with you. Dr. Emefa Apawu, we are grateful for your time here on Joy News Prime. Now, away from flying, amongst others, let's check our mental health. And we know that suicide has been decriminalized by Parliament, and mental health advocates are lauding Parliament for doing so. They argue that contrary to views that it would encourage the act, it will rather save lives. First, let's hear from one of the proponents of the removal of that criminal act from our books. Bernard Ahiafo is an MP.
The person is in the state of mind such that he or she cannot appreciate the nature and quality of the act that he will be carrying out. That is, taking his life away, knowing very well that life is one. Once it is lost, it can never be regained. The person is either having a mental problem or a psychological problem. And research has shown that most people that attempted suicide, they attempt it again until they finally succeed. Because the mental condition or the psychological problem that the person is having is still there. Now, it is a criminal offense for you to attempt committing suicide. Therefore, families don't open up for the person to be subjected through the psychological therapy or treated medically, so that such a thing will not reoccur again, simply because once you open it up, the security agencies will come and arrest the person, prosecute the person, and probably imprison the person. That doesn't solve the problem. So mostly they don't report it. Clearly, as a human being, if my brother, my sister, my uncle or auntie attempted suicide, and knowing the implication that that is a criminal offense, I will never report this to even a medical doctor for the person to be taken through a medical treatment. So we realize that criminalizing attempted suicide does more harm to a society than good.
Also asked that he expects President Akufo-Addo to sign the bill.
Well, I expect the president to sign this. I expect the president to assent to it. Constitutionally, the president has a period within which to do it, and I believe strongly. This is a bill that is not controversial. The whole House has agreed on it, and I believe the entire country is also in agreement with decriminalization of attempted suicide, and the president would soon assent to it, and it will become law.
Well, mental health advocates have been lauding Parliament for this particular decision. We can hear from Esinam Dra.
Moving from church to church and being prayed for, and sometimes I feel better, sometimes it just doesn't feel any better. So eventually my father made us go and see a psychologist and a psychiatrist, and that's when I was diagnosed with the condition, and I then decided that I would accept professional help. When I say professional help, I was put on medication, but for a whole year I couldn't bring myself to understand that I need medication daily to be able to have the life that I want. So when I started taking the medication as prescribed, I realized that the voices I was hearing, the depressive mood, everything stopped. And that was when my life changed. I was able to go stay in school, graduate, live a normal life, work like everybody else, and be able to contribute to society, become a mental health advocate, and become all the things that I wanted to be and even more. So professional help does work. It's wonderful news. It's an amazing news because countries like Sweden decriminalized suicide as early as 1864. We've been waiting for this for a very long time because we understand that not everybody who attempts suicide wanted to do it because that's what they wanted to do. They felt like they had tried everything, all their options were used up, and that was the final and only way to leave the earth and forget about everything. And so it's amazing news. We are really, really happy, those of us in the mental health community.
Also, these advocates are of the view that it would not rather encourage, it would stop and save lives as well, but to better appreciate the impact of criminalizing suicide, we bring back excerpts of a hotline documentary produced by Kweku Owusu-Prepra. We call it Suicide Whispers.
Now, another suicide case has hit the country's university fraternity. This morning, a level 400 female student of the University of Ghana, Legon, was found lying in a pool of blood on the ground.
Some other stories, police investigations have started into yet another set of suspected suicide cases. One at Jericho, a neighborhood at Ashaiman here in Accra, and another in Achim Amafro in the Afram Plains South District of the Eastern Region.
This is the scene where the incident happened. Tied to this tree here is the rope that the deceased used in committing the act.
Suicide is fearsome and difficult. It requires resolve and concentration.
After taking the poison, I really suffered throughout the night, but I did not die. I went and bought the poison, which I tried on the dogs. So 2 of them died. The other one, maybe he didn't eat because he survived. He was okay. So I said, okay, then the poison is potent, so I will take it, and then all the troubles and all the hassles will be over. So I did take it.
Suicide is an act of courage. It takes the fearlessness of death itself to complete suicide.
It's like the future was bleak. So one early morning, I decided, let me take Parazone. And then, pray and hope that I just die and then it's over. So I drank Parazone.
But there's an error in the minds of people who complete suicide, that they are a burden to the people around them, and that everyone would be happier if they died.
But that is the reason why they are killing themselves.
Some are, however, lucky. They get some help after they are unable to complete their suicide. Jocelyn got suicidal after some terrible family experiences living with her cousin in Europe. Jocelyn became depressed and decided to die. Die and leave everyone behind to bear the pain of losing her after making her life unbearable. One night, she drank a full bottle of whiskey, hoping that she would die through her stupor. She woke up the next morning sad and angry to be alive. She went through therapy, yet the suicidal thoughts persisted.
I hope something could change, but after therapy, you're still in the soup that is still boiling. So everything is always the same. And because of that, I was carefully monitored. I was never allowed to be alone at any point in time because of the thought that I could do that again. But I wish that I would have disappeared anyhow, any other means. Maybe knocked down by a car. We used to go out swimming in the pool a lot with the kids, so maybe I could drown, or in the cold nights, winter, if I'm going to work, I'll just freeze and something funny thoughts, was in my mind almost every time, just for me to disappear. I wasn't really brave enough to.
Well, let's bring in Professor Joseph Osafo, who is head of psychology department of the University of Ghana. Thank you so much for joining us. This is an issue we've been battling for years now. It appears as victory for those in the sector. But for those who are against it, it appears that for them, it's going to encourage the act rather than save lives. What do you say to them?
Well, I don't agree because that's not so. And the truth or the fact that is backed by research is that people rather get encouraged to open up and to speak to others. They certainly become aware that they are living in a social space that doesn't condemn them, but that really embraces who they are, what they stand for, what their challenges are, and provides support systems for them. So I am looking forward to see readiness to open up. From anybody who experiences suicidal crisis, just readiness to open up, share with friends. I have this thought on my mind because of what I'm going through. What should I do? I'm also looking forward to a social space that is littered with a lot of empathy and support, where people are not very criminally minded and thinking about the old ways. Okay. Let me quickly take you to the police station. Let me go and report you. Let me just beat you up. I used to work in a village as part of my community programming, and where a young man attempted to take his life. And the kind of beatings he received from the, folks in the community. And some were, one I saw too was dragged right on the ground, bare back, scratching on the ground. This is extremely inhumane. So I want to see humane, responsive, and then empathic responses coming from every one of us. It doesn't have to be professionals alone. Yourself, your friends, anybody at all who cares so much about another person is a suicide preventionist.
Okay, but we may have decriminalized it. We are waiting for the president to actually assent to it. But should there be more we should be doing beyond just decriminalizing it as a nation?
Exactly. So we're not going to raise on our oars and say, oh, well, this is what we're looking for.
Okay.
So we've gotten it. That's not the way to do suicide and decriminalization advocacy. That's not the way to go at all.
Okay.
The way to go is to look at what needs to be done in terms of littering the social space with a lot of information on suicide.
Okay.
When social media handles, and I can tell you, we need to do a lot. People don't really understand what is happening. There are others who are thinking that we are rather encouraging people to take their lives. There are others who are thinking that this is the wrong way to go.
Yeah.
So we need to do a lot of work so that we can lead the police space with conversations that help. So we need a lot more work. Psychoeducation, public education, suicide literacy ought to be done.
Well, you have been able to get into the minds of people who have attempted suicide. As we speak, maybe there's someone watching or listening to us right now who is having suicidal thoughts. In a minute, what would you tell that person?
Two or three things. Number one is that the feeling you are having is not a permanent feeling. So don't make a mistake and say, well, you're feeling is permanent, and so it should end your life. Number two, you must understand that there are others who care so much about you. life is not just about how we feel. It's about what can we also do? How can we also become meaningful to others around us? So think about your loved ones. Number 3, somebody's waiting out there to just welcome you. Just open up and embrace support. That's all.
Dr. Safo, thank you for saving your life and also educating us as well. This is Joy News Prime. We are live on all our social media platforms from our studios here in Kukumlimle on DSTV channel 421, GoTV 144. We'll take a quick break. We'll return with more. Please stay with us. Welcome back. This is Joy News Prime. We go on to some other stories, and the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament, Joseph Osei-Owusu, has referred the University of Ghana to the Education Committee of the House for disregarding a High Court order. Well, we know that the Accra High Court ordered the University of Ghana to halt its residential policy, which removed continuing Commonwealth students from the hall. The university is yet to comply with the directive. We'll hear from the Deputy Speaker shortly, but listen to MP for Bolsa South, Dr. Emefa Apawu, who is displeased with the university for failing to adhere to the court order.
By this statement, Mr. Speaker, we, the alumni of Commonwealth Hall, known popularly as Old Vandals, in the Parliament of Ghana, back calls by associations and individuals who have called on the management of the University of Ghana to heed the decision of the court and to ensure that continuing students who resided in Commonwealth Hall are reinstated, to provide them the peace of mind for the academic activities pending the final determination of the case. The continuous refusal of the management of the University of Ghana to reinstate the affected students as ordered by the court is unacceptable, unlawful, and must not be countenanced. Mr. Speaker, we call on you and this August House to join us and all well-meaning Ghanaians to impress upon the University of Ghana to do the needful by respecting the laws of the land.
We can now hear from a bipartisan group of MPs who slammed the university for disobeying the court order.
Mr. Speaker, I was not just a vandal, but I was a whole vandal choir master. If the university authorities had done the needful, it's a very serious matter. Disobeying a court order with impunity as a citizen of this country. The university doesn't belong to individuals. And I'm surprised why a whole institution would be allowed to impugn on the dignity of courts in our country. Mr. Speaker, this is very, very sad. And it's a very serious matter that should be addressed not only by all vandals, but all of us in the chamber and all well-meaning Ghanaians. Why should that happen?
Mr. Speaker, it is very important that we call on the University of Ghana to obey the laws of this country. They can't flout the laws. It is a court order. And for an institution like the University of Ghana to disregard a court order, it is something that this House must take it seriously, and we must act as soon as possible.
Well, there was an immediate order by the first Deputy Speaker, Joseph Owusu.
The orders of the court are interim to hold the balance whilst the matters are being heard. But my wish is that the settlement will be outside the court. That is where we are sure to achieve proper harmony at the end of it all. But I think I would refer this statement to the Committee of Education to ask them to engage the university and to report back to us why the university authorities, headed by the immediate past Chief Justice, she is the chairman of the University Council. So we expect that she would ensure that the law and order, respect for the courts the sanctity of the court orders are respected. So I direct that the statement be referred to the Committee on Education to engage the university authorities to why they should not obey the instructions of the university.
Well, still in Parliament on issues of education, the Deputy Ranking Member on the Education Committee, Dr. Emefa Apawu, is calling on President Akufo-Addo to, as a matter of urgency, order the Finance Minister, Ken Ofori-Atta, to release the capitation grant for the use of basic schools.
Government owes capitation grants for the previous budget year at a whopping amount of 45 million Ghana cedis. What that says is that government was only able to remit 15 million. For the current year in question, the request was 61 million for capitation grant. Government only brought 11 million for us to approve. So ideally, government should be making available to the basic schools capitation grants in excess of 106 million Ghana cedis. That is not happening. The request is not being met, and the monies that ought to go to these schools so that they can function properly are not going. This is why these days you don't hear of basic schools undertaking activities like cultural activities, like sports activities.
Time to save the environment, but it's unfortunate that 50% of Green Ghana plants, or the trees planted during the Green Ghana project in the Shire Reserve, that's the resource reserve, lost to bushfire and harsh weather conditions. That's according to the Forestry Commission. My colleague James Aveji has more in this report read to you.
Today, on day 2 of the Ministry of Lands and Natural Resources tour of the Greater Accra as well as the Eastern region. Now, the trip started with a visit to the Shire Resource Reserve, where we were told that some mahogany trees have been planted there in 2021, which had a survival rate of about 50%. The park manager of the Shire Resource Reserve has been telling us why only 50% of the trees has survived.
When you look at the survival rate, per our own assessment, we've had about 50% survival rate. But unfortunately for last year, the rains were not good. And if we look at the nature of the soil here, mostly it's clay. So little dried up, they get the soil dried, and then it's affect the growth of the distance. But nevertheless, we will continue this year to plant as we've planned for it, and make sure that we do the necessary silvicultural methods to
From the Shire Resource Reserve continue to the cheaper forest, where we are told that the forest actually is seated on over 2,000 acres of land. Now, the Forestry Commission has been able to plant about 5 hectares of land out of that, and out of the 5 hectares, it has been distributed in 2 different or major compartments. We visited the compartment 52 as well as compartment 63. The district manager of the Tema at that area of the Forestry Commission also spoke to us about the number of trees that have been planted on these 2 compartments and the surviving rate of the 2.
But you can see we did the same species, but you can also see the growth of the species. It's the same acacia that we planted. Here we have neem, we have also cassia. But you can see the growth rate for yourself. I don't need to tell you. The survival rate here is different, but generally within the reserve is about 74%. But that of total was really good. So it's about like 85 to 90%. That was for total.
Let's stay on issues regarding the environment, and it's time to clean Ghana. As usual, there was a lot of action today. 2 persons were arrested, and food items at the Kanishi market were confiscated over lack of adherence to hygienic standards by food vendors. There's more in this report by my colleague, Prince Owuswansa.
I want to tell them that all the shop around Kanishi, this is what we used to work. And I want to ask them whether they've been through all the shop. What are you trying to tell me?
Some disagreements at the Kaneshie market as a group of corn mill operators failed to comply with the AMA regulations on food safety.
It's not possible. You can't send someone's condo away. You can't send someone's condo away. It's not possible.
The wooden structure that houses the corn mill operators was in a terrible state, unclean and dangerous for the workers. It failed to meet basic safety standards of AMA food safety and hygiene bylaws.
That it should not have a way that microorganisms can get some place to hide. It should be washable. How can you wash this place? Can you wash here? You are supposed to wash it because this is where food is produced. Every food processing company must be washable. That is what the law is saying. It's not what you think you do.
But your people have been coming here always.
It is not about man. People come here always. It is your responsibility.
Because what
let's go on. Let's go.
The sanitation task force attempted to lock down the wooden structure, but corn mill operators resisted.
Come on, what do you mean? We as workers, why do you want to send the condo away? My question I want to ask is whether you all have been through all the shops around Kaneshie. It
doesn't matter whether
No. It's a question I have to ask. Because this is not the only shop in Kaneshie. I want to ask whether you've been all around the shop at Kaneshie.
We started from a place today.
The sanitation task force managed to control the situation.
Process now would hear wage man is wrong. So if you are able to rectify process now, what you had money now, you open the place for you. So I said, so we are not deliberately saying about say wage man. No. So far as we are health officials and want to protect the public, we will ensure say.
Paul Mensah is an operator of the corn mill.
So that plenty corn inside this in the water right now. You are locking this place. So what?
So that's why I want you to do the right thing. If you are able to finish immediately how we are directing you, we can open it for you.
The head of AMA Environmental and Sanitation Department, Florence Kuchi, expressed concerns over the lack of adherence to hygiene standards by some food vendors.
Earrings. Wow. And you didn't see anywhere to put it, but to put it by the food. And when something falls there, you take it and put it inside. Do you know what? We are taking this food away. We will not allow you to sell the food to the public. Okay.
She urged the general public to be cautious about the food they buy.
Just look at the things she's using to sell the food. Dusty, what will I call it? Packs that she's putting the food in to sell. It's so dusty.
This is Joy News Prime. We take a quick break. We're back with Showbiz. Welcome back, and it's time for Showbiz. And Becky is here in the studios. Hello, Becky. I hope you've been behaving yourself.
Oh, yeah, I have.
Okay.
Something that I wanted to ask whether you have, I know you have links, right? And I know that you have links in the other presidency. So I sent the President Momo this morning.
Momo,
I haven't heard him respond to, So, he's celebrating his birthday today.
Okay.
So I decided to send him something small for, for something. But
something small. How much is small?
He's 70.
79, yes.
So I sent him 7,900 cedis.
We'll check.
So check for me. That's so, Mr. President, if you're listening, we wish you.
Please give me his number as well. Okay.
Oh, you have the number.
Oh, okay.
So I'm asking if you could.
So in other words, you want the president to give you 7,900?
No, that's not the. No, that's the. He needs to acknowledge that.
Okay.
I've given him a present.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday to the president of the land. We wish him all the best. 79 years old. Well, he's done a lot of things, especially for the creative arts industry, and we're grateful. We're grateful to you. I'm even,
That's for words.
I know.
Yeah, that's good. It's okay. Okay. Happy birthday. It's fine. Now.
So Stonebwoy is about to release, his album, and today he released the album cover. I'm sure Mr. President will get, a song in that. So apart from the album cover, so reggae and dancehall artist Stonebwoy, he's released the cover of an artwork and track list of his upcoming album. The album titled Fifth Dimension is his fifth studio evening. Guess who we're putting the spotlight on? You know them as Twins Don't Beg. Well, they told me that they actually invented this celebrity photography in Ghana. They've impacted, the industry in their own ways, and we're putting the spotlight on Twins Don't Beg. Spotlight today, we have Twins Don't Beg. They're actually twins. We don't know your real names.
Oh, really? I think sometimes we even forget that we even have real names, but I go by the name Emmanuel Apiajan.
So I guess
Samuel Apiajan.
Tell me about, the journey, within all these years.
We didn't really start as professional photographers. We actually started as, musicians. 2008, when we almost graduated from senior high school and we moved to Tema. And Tema was the vibe for music. Yeah, and we happened to find ourselves around that time. So we were rolling with guys like Sarko, D-Crime, Yapono, Yaosiki, Stage J. We were rolling with them. We're part of that era and all that, and we learned so much from them. And we really wanted to be music, but a lot of things happened with family and stuff, and we were not allowed to do music. But then we struggled to go back to uni, 2010, right? Yeah, 2010, and that is when the whole dream of Twins Don't Beg was birthed. But Twins Don't Beg was actually our stage name for music.
Right. So I want to know how it transitioned from just music to photography.
That's the thing, one thing about being in this industry is that you have to do a whole lot of things. You have to move from one point to the other. You have to learn the craft. You have to you have to grow. So when the music thing didn't really work for us, we had to do something to still survive in the industry, and that was being around actors and actresses. And something about being that is that you also have to capture all the beautiful images, being around all these amazing, famous people. So we decided to get a camera and just follow these amazing people and start taking pictures of them. And I'll add this, I think we kind of started celebrity photography in Ghana because 2014, by 2014, nobody was doing that. What we did was that we first uploaded our pictures, so our pictures started going viral, and that is where a lot of people got to know about us.
And how much of an influence do you think that Twins Don't Beg has had on the photography industry?
Well, I don't want to say this that we are goats or God in photography, but yeah, I know, but we've learned a lot in this industry. We've contributed to the success of a lot of personalities, brands in Ghana. We've seen a rise and fall of most people, and I think with all those experience, that's what has really kept us in the game, even after 8 years of being in the photography game. Photography is really lucrative, I must say. It's put some of us on the map, and the thing is, one thing that makes photography lucrative is that if you miss a moment and it's not captured, that's the end of it. And I mean, videos can do justice, but photos tell a lot of stories, and we've been documenting the history of Ghana for the last 8 years. So we've actually captured the whole Afrobeats rise, and in terms of also filmmaking and in terms of events. We've been all over Ghana. We've captured 2 elections. We've captured the current status of Ghana entertainment. We've been around and we've captured and documented all these moments, and maybe 50 years in future or 50 years later, people are going to look back to our works and say, okay, these people were actually, told the story of Ghana, and I think that's very, very important.
You guys have something up, an exhibition coming up, when and where?
Yeah, so we have this opportunity to also exhibit some of our works in Amsterdam. So we'll be doing that summertime, somewhere first week in July. Yeah, first week in July we'll be doing an exhibition, and I think the venue, location, and everything will be coming up soon on our social media pages. And we are collaborating with the local government authority in Amsterdam. So this is more like collaborating with some of the creatives also in Amsterdam. So it's going to be like a 3-day event whereby we do exhibitions, we do fashion, we do networking, and we do all that. And this, we're putting Ghana on the map. And we're also telling every young and upcoming photographer that it's possible, and you can also put yourself out there. You don't always have to let Ghana be your destination. You have to look at the bigger picture and also take your works out there.
I bet you took pictures.
Oh,
How
yeah.
many?
They took
How many?
just one photo of me.
Yeah.
So sad.
Very admirable. I noticed that they have white teeth. It means that they use Pepsodent. They use charcoal, I'm sure. Okay, and you can also use, use charcoal. I like the triple action. I like the cavity fighter as well. Right. Yeah, so
we should remember.
Take us away. Brush your teeth twice a day with Pepsodent. Because with Pepsodent, every smile matters. I am Emefa Apawu. There's more news when you log on to myjoyonline.com. Mrs. Trevor is up next with Prime Business.
That's sweet.